Hello everyone, welcome to today's show. My name is Spencer Walsh. We have a great show for you today. Trump veered from his tax script to blast Democrats on immigration. That's today's lead story, while Muslims accused of plotting violence get 7 times more media attention and 4 times longer sentences. Well, the details for you on that, and trust me, it's pretty surprising, believe it or not. Alright, so the town also that we'll talk about that accidentally legalized marijuana. Alright, we'll get into that. So we're going to have a fun show for you today on a Friday, ending of the week already. 2-day week for me. I wish that was how all weeks went. I wish the weekend was the week and the week was the weekend. That would be a lot of fun. But unfortunately, that's not the case. It never will be. So, anyway, Trump went crazy in West Virginia. President Trump dispensed Thursday with what he believed was a boring speech on tax reform here in White Sulphur Springs, where he attended a roundtable, tossing the text to his fans before launching into a lengthy tirade against immigration that included an accusation that Democrats were embracing dangerous policies to secure immigrant votes. So that is something that is probably one of the biggest and most deepest Fox News conspiracy theories that I've ever heard. It's very sad. It's actually quite dumb, but it's just the way that we have to deal with it sometimes. So Trump traveled to West Virginia to promote his $1.5 trillion tax overhaul before a more friendly audience, but the president grew tired of his prepared remarks after a few moments and returned to the bitter complaints about the United States immigration laws that have dominated his attention this weekend, prompted him on Wednesday to ask governors to deploy the National Guard with troops to the southern border, which is really pretty crazy. The fact that it's that bad, and the fact that Trump thinks immigration is going on rampant when there is a far majority of people. We have a net negative in terms of people who leave our country every year to go back to Mexico. So the versus the people coming in. So it's really not a problem in this day and age. So it has not been a problem, by the way, for a long time. So in case you're wondering, it's nothing. It's literally nothing going on. So, anyway, that's a crazy thing. So, this was going to be my remarks, he said, but it would have taken about 2 minutes, but what the hell, this would have been boring, Trump said, tossing a sheet of paper covered with neat paragraphs of text in the audience when pretty much every single Trump advisor watching him was just like, oh no. That's what I would have been doing, but like, oh, what is he going to say? So Trump said he tossed a sheet of paper. I'm reading off the first paragraph. I said, this is boring. Come on, we got to tell it like it is. Instead, he recounted the terrorist attack last October in lower Manhattan when an Uzbek immigrant killed 8 people when he drove onto a pedestrian and bicycle path on the West Side Highway that was just around Halloween. This is what Democrats are doing to you. What? Committing terrorist attacks? Are you sure about that, buddy? You really want to say Democrats are behind this? Okay. So this is what Democrats are doing to you. They like it because they think they are going to vote Democrat. They're doing it for that reason and other reasons. I'm sure that's what they want to import their voting population. You really think the Democrats would be that smart? I mean, you ran against them. You know how bad of a candidate you were, and you lost to them. Like, are you seriously trying to tell me the Democrats are that smart enough to try and go in and import their own voting population? Like, that's, whenever Republicans say that, I don't get it. Like, have you guys have fought them for, like, the last however many years in elections, right? You know how amazingly dumb they are. Like, it's not something that takes, it's very hard to understand. It's really not, because if you look at it, it's pretty much just like, wait a minute, how is this happening? But instead, he recounted the terrorist attack in October, and he said the Democrats are pretty much trying to import their own voting population. The president told reporters aboard Air Force One they intended to deploy 2,000 to 4,000 National Guard troops to the border with Mexico. If Trump sends the low end of the proposal, it would barely exceed the 1,200 sent by President Barack Obama in 2010 to support other border agencies. And even if Trump sets 4,000 on the top end of his proposal, he would be dispatching fewer than George W. Bush did in 2006. So it's not a very big deal. So it's not a huge deal. It's not worth totally freaking out about. But in a statement on Thursday, Pentagon Press Secretary Dana White said the troops would focus on engineering, logistical support, and vehicle maintenance, among other things. The statement now mentioned the troops taking part in any kind of law enforcement. So that is a little bit even more good and reassuring. So, although you can never really truly be reassured when it comes to the Pentagon, when it comes to ICE officials, no. Maybe the National Guard's all right. But anyway. Yeah, Republican leaders have urged the president to sell the tax cut that he signed in December, and that's also a very bad idea, because the tax cut was awful. The tax cut was a giveaway to the top 1%, and if you keep hammering that away, you're just giving the Democrats more ammo to possibly hit you in the head with it come the midterm election. So that's not going to be good for anyone. On the Republican side anyway, and if you got a smart Democrat, Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren running against you, they are definitely not going to let you off the hook in that crazy tax bill you signed. So you're not going to get a break on that, and it's not going to be very good for you. Republican leaders have urged the president, and they want him to sell to that tax cut he signed in December, and of trying to make economic growth and low tax the central theme of 2018 as they move toward toward a tough midterm election season. So Trump, though, has refused to keep the script. Just like in West Virginia, he's throwing that script right into the audience. Instead, on Thursday, he opted to blast immigrants and the country's immigration laws, including a practice known as catch and release, in which migrants who present themselves at the border are released from custody to await an immigration hearing. Determining whether they should be allowed to remain in the United States. So yeah, that's the catch and release policy. It's better than what we had before. It's better than the thing that Trump wants to do, but it's not very good because you send them to immigration courts, and if you want to do any kind of research, you'll realize that very quickly the immigration courts are very low quality. They're kind of they're like pop-up shops, but like way worse, and no one puts any effort into them. And pretty much you have to have, there's sometimes 4 or 5-year-olds standing up in front of them, up in front of the judge or whoever, with no representation, all alone, because oftentimes you can't afford a lawyer, and you're not provided with one. That's one of the rare peculiarities of immigration courts. You are not provided with a lawyer right away. So yeah, that's the problem with the catch and release policy. The court quality is actually quite bad. So yeah, they have to wait that immigration hearing. That is the key part there. Yeah. So, but the problem is not that we're catching them and then releasing them. That's not the real problem. So, Trump says we're toughening up at the border. We cannot let people enter our country. We have no idea who they are, what they do, or where they came from. We don't know if they're murderers, if they're killers, if they're MS-13. Trump went on, we're throwing them out by the hundreds. He boasted that he had described rapists, immigrants, specifically Mexican immigrants, as rapists when he announced his presidential candidacy, saying that he had recently learned of the journey north made by a caravan of Honduran migrants. Women are raped at levels they've never seen before. I don't think any president has ever said that ever. Just people raping women. So I don't. That's a little shocking. So Trump said his administration has cracked down on MS-13, the transnational gang with links to El Salvador, detailing its brutal methods. This kind of stuff and crap we're allowing to our country. We can't do it, Trump said. He also repeated the false claim that millions of people voted illegally in the 2016 election. And that's the entire... I'm just going to notify you that happened. I'm not going to cover it because it has literally been more debunked by the mainstream media than any other sentence in anything Trump has possibly ever said in the world. So, yeah. Trump's remarks drew pretty enthusiastic applause from an audience of about 200 in a state he won with 68% of the vote, his largest margin of victory in the country. So, yeah, it also drew some rebukes. President Trump is insulting American voters by making up lies. Jason Kander, a former Democratic Senate a candidate for Senate and now president of Let America Vote, which is a voting rights group. President Trump's lies cause American electorate to lose faith in the system of our election and take our elections less seriously, which is one of his goals. If you don't trust the vote counts, then they won't vote. If people don't, I was talking about his illegal immigrant remarks here. So the roundtable on taxes was pretty much a love fest for the president. It was a very friendly roundtable in which the attendees took turns pretty much praising him and recounting the ways the tax cut had helped them in their families and just Mr. Trump's agenda entirely. So they were very complimentary of him. This is a very big deal for our family. Jessica Hodge, who was in attendance there, choking back tears, she said, after her husband told Trump that told Mr. Trump their family had saved $2,000 for $2,417. Sorry, because the tax cut they plan to spend it on a kitchen renovation. Thank you for listening to us. Thank you for fighting for us. The president grinned and nodded his approval. He's probably just overjoyed. Like, this is a rare basis of things that, like, he gets direct, face-to-face, utter praise. Like, he needed that. He really needed that. So, like, that's not something he gets very often. Like, it's good to see the guy, like, getting just showered. Like, literally, that's the real golden shower. It's wow. It's just quite crazy. Yeah, so that's the crazy thing. I don't think he's ever gotten this much close, personal, face-to-face praise, like on a big round table, at a big setting. These people that he has invited up there. I'm like, thank you for fighting me. Thank you for fighting for me. Evan Jenkins, a West Virginia House member, and Patrick Morrissey, the state's attorney general, who are competing in a May primary to run the Senate, flanked Trump and took turn showering him with praise. Jenkins said, "You're a man keeping your promises. Thanks for keeping your promise." Morrissey chimed in, not to be outdone. "Your policies have made an incredible difference in our state. We had the bullseye on us until you got here, so thank you for that." He wrapped up the event, and Trump asked the audience to weigh in on which man would win the primary next month, saying, "Should we do a little test? Who's voting for Patrick? Who's voting for Evan?" The applause was louder for Mr. Jenkins, who represents the district that White Sulphur Springs is in, so not surprising. But Mr. Trump also, this is one of my favorite things, he attacked Joe Manchin, Democrat of West Virginia, saying he is opposed to tough immigration laws and the rest of the president's agenda. I mentioned they got a real progressive in there. And this is the dude who tries to be nice to Democrats, who stood up all the time during Donald Trump's State of the Union. He was like, and really what it was, we found out later, was pretty much a desperate cry for help from the Republicans. So he was like, please, 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 somebody help me here. And Fox and Friends had him on the next morning and praised him. But not that, and just later that day, Mike Pence came to town in West Virginia, where anyone associated with the name Trump is absolutely adored, and pretty much was like, literally did a anti-Joe Manchin rally. That's what he did. That's how he gets repaid back. The Republicans, he fluffed the Republicans, and the Republicans effed him. Like, he was literally screwed so hard by the Republicans. It was quite funny to watch because that's what happens, and everybody except for Joe Manchin knows better, so there's that. Yeah. He said, "I thought he would be helpful because he talks," Trump said to Manchin, who centrist who's enough for seeking compromises with the Republicans, but he votes against everything. He voted against their tax cuts, which was actually pretty surprising and actually pretty encouraging that Joe Manchin would come in to do that. Yeah, but he is facing quite a progressive primary right now, so who knows how he will really be in the very end. All right, so that is it for the segment today, and we have a great story coming up next. This is the Spencer Walsh Radio Network. Your show will return in just 4 minutes.
Pendo on the beat.